Here are some of the undeniable truths that I've learned from running my own content business. My name is Roger Rodolfo, and I've been running my own content business now for about a year. Recently, I just quit my job as a full-time software developer to continue running my own business full-time. And this has been huge for me because now I get to spend an extra 40 hours a week running my business. Not only does this mean that I'm going to be posting a lot more, but this means that I can take on a lot more clients now, and I can help my current clients even better. So in the time that I've had so far making content for myself, growing my page to close to 4,000 followers and generating hundreds of thousands of views for myself and for my clients that weren't just useless views, but views that led to leads and ultimately more sales. This is what I've learned so far. Now take all of this with a grain of salt because I'm still very early on in my process and I may change my mind on some of these things. But so far, I feel pretty solid about everything that I'm about to say. So the first topic that I want to talk about is how much should you post? There's nothing I've seen more time and time again that's just proven to always work on social media, and that's just posting more content. I hate that I made this the first one because it's one of those obvious things that we already know, but we don't want to do, or there's just too hard to do. But it's also the one that 90% of us know we need to do, is post more content. Now there's a couple things that I do for myself and for my clients that makes this process much smoother. And the most important thing is pre-planning our content. I have another video linked to my YouTube channel going over my exact process of how I pre-plan an entire month's worth of content. So click up here if you want to access that video right now. But essentially what you want to do is you want to pre-plan everything. Now, what does that mean? That means if you're comfortable on camera, it's having all of the video topics that you're going to talk about with some short bullet points so that you can have some organization while also staying natural on camera. This is going to make everything much easier for you because you'll know exactly what you're going to talk about and you can knock out tons of content in just one sitting. Now, this isn't some brand new strategy. Biggest content creators, business owners, and everything in between, they've been doing this for years. And that's just because they simply don't have the time to be sitting down and making a piece of content every day. Consistency is in the outputs, not necessarily in the inputs. So whatever way you can find to post every day or post more is what you should be doing. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a daily effort. So now on to the second undeniable truth. And to sum it up, I'd say go broad. Now, in a world where everyone tells you to niche down and pick a topic and narrow your focus, going broad might sound a little counterintuitive. So what I mean by going broad is that in the beginning of your videos, try and go as broad as possible. What this does is since the beginning of your video is very broad and applies to a lot of people, it's more likely to be pushed to a larger audience. And when your video gets pushed to a larger audience, your videos get more views and ultimately you grow your page. This is something that you want to use strategically. You don't just want to post broad content if your main goal is to just make money through your business with social media. The way I like to explain it is that we need to have people in our ecosystem that are going to watch our videos. So posting those really specific videos that just apply to a handful of people is great, but what isn't great is making those videos and nobody watching them. So what you can do is you can first focus on making those broader videos, broad topics, and even within the video, start off your video broad so that it attracts the most amount of people possible. And later on within your videos is when you can narrow down the topics that you talk about. Now, the third topic is steal like an artist. So I know this phrase has become very popular recently, steal like an artist. And basically what this means is that good artists copy, but great artists steal. Now, my definition of stealing something is when you take something and make it your own. How does all this philosophy apply when making content? So when you steal something, you're taking it from someone else. But that second part also applies. You're making it your own. So one of the things you can do, and which is one of the smartest strategies you can do, is watch what other people are doing successfully and steal those content ideas, steal those content topics. But you also have to make them your own. Now, there are a couple of things you want to make sure that you do when you're copying someone else's ideas, copying someone else's formats, etc. One of the most important things is you want to make sure to copy the beginning of that video almost exactly, whether that's short form or long form. Now, this is because the beginning of your video, no matter what platform you're on, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, whatever platform it is, nobody's going to watch your entire video if they don't finish watching the first part. And I know it's so obvious, but sometimes we forget how important the beginning of our videos are. So if an idea is proven, if someone else was really successful with a certain content type, a certain content format, or a certain content idea, and you're going to copy it, you want to make sure that the most critical part of it, which is the beginning, you copy it word for word. And also try and make it look the same or very, very similar. So in the body of the video or in the middle section, whatever you want to call it, you want to start to inject your own pieces of value, your own inputs, your own thoughts. And that's where we're sort of differentiating yourself from someone else and also keeping yourself safe. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to get in trouble with anyone because you straight copied someone's videos. So in that middle section is where you want to add your inputs. So the third truth that I've learned is omnipresence. And this is one that I've really internalized recently. Now, what does omnipresence even mean? It means being everywhere at all times. Think of it as kind of being like air. So just for some background knowledge, for my business, I run ads in my local area. And I usually spend anywhere from $100 to $200 per day. So this means that the people who see my content see my face multiple times a day. So just by sheer volume, because they've seen my face so many times, people have clicked on my ad that have become clients. And the people who have become my clients have also told me, I want that exact impact you have. When I open my phone, I just see your videos. They're just there. I see them about 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. And people have told me that many times. And after I heard it about 3 or 4 times, I realized that it's so important for people to see your face multiple times a day if possible. Because no matter who you are, if people see your face enough, eventually they'll get curious. They'll go on your profile or they'll watch a video of yours that they really, really resonate with, or that just stirs something up. Notice how your favorite, business gurus or content creators are literally everywhere on every platform all the time. It's not an accident that they do that. And people are slowly starting to realize that being everywhere is even more important than being good at what you do. And it's kind of a scary world we're living where, the most known is the one that gets the most business, even if they're not the best. But what you can do, if you're really good at what you do and you mix that in with being omnipresent, with being everywhere at all times on social media, you're creating the perfect storm for yourself. Because not only are you going to have that snowball effect from the content, but you're also going to have another snowball effect. Because when you do get your clients, your customers, the result that they're looking for, that's also going to create more and more positive word of mouth referrals and business growth and growth for your brand and your business. So the next truth is that personal brands have to be personal. And this is something that, to be super honest, I'm pretty weak in right now. So it's easy to share tips, resources, advice, even tactical information. All of that is really easy to do. But the truth is that everyone is out here doing that. So unless you're coming in with a crap ton of experience, or you have some specialized knowledge that just isn't available on social media, which in this day and age is hard to believe. There is already someone out there saying the exact same things you are, and they're probably better at you at what you do, and they've already built up their brand and their authority. So why on earth would someone listen to you when there's already someone out there who does what you do better and they already have a brand? Well, the difference maker is you, who you are. When you can blend in your information and your experience and your personality and some of your backstory, all of a sudden, you're not the same as this other person who's saying the exact same things as you. Now, you're your own person with your own unique perspectives and your own unique takes on certain things. And a lot of people don't do this on social media, especially when they're starting out. And myself too, because it's not easy being vulnerable. When you post content, you're being open to all sorts of attacks and criticism. So when you post generic things and when you post advice, tips, tactical things, value-based things, and people judge you for that, well, you don't feel anything because you don't have any attachment to those things. They're not you. But when you start being yourself, being vulnerable and being authentic, now people are criticizing who you are and they're criticizing you, which is scary. And I understand why most people don't want to put themselves in that position. I would say that I don't want to either. But the thing is that in a world with so much information, at the end of the day, we all know that people are not perfect. So when you're trying to put up this act of being perfect, or you're only showing the best, but you're not showing any of the struggle, or you're not showing any of the worst, and you're trying to pretend like everything is great, or that you make this certain revenue, but you don't show how 50,000 in revenue is 60,000 in costs, then people just can't really relate to you. They can't really associate with you. They can't really form this parasocial bond with you. And that's why, it's kind of a weird world we live in, where on social media, what we're missing is people being real and being honest. But unfortunately, for most of us, that comes at the cost of being seen as an expert. But the thing is, there's a million people better than me at making content, and they've already taken up that role as the expert. So the only thing I can do to differentiate myself is just be honest, be myself, share my journey and documentations, and share what I've learned. That's why in the beginning of this video, I said that I may change my mind, because that's true. I may change my mind after I learn more things, after I work with more people, and after I make more of my own videos. So those are just a couple of things that I've learned, I truly believe are super, super important when it comes to making content, and that I've seen personally for myself, or that I've seen hundreds of other people on social media do for themselves and become successful. So if you found this valuable and you want to check out some of my previous videos, subscribe down below and check out some of my other videos. Thanks for watching.